Okay, so Bitcoin has been booming for like the last 2 days. So the question is, are we finally going to hit that 128K price level I've been talking about recently on this channel? So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about Bitcoin. We are going to talk about Mara stock. And I've been, if you guys have been watching for a while, you know I've been accumulating a BitU swing trade. So here is a dividend actually. I forgot there was a dividend for BitU today. So if any of you have been accumulating as well, you may have that dividend as so you might want to check that out, right? If you care about that. But going forward, um, we've been tracking Bitcoin on this channel. And remember, everything I say in this channel is just my own personal opinion. I highly recommend and advise everyone to at least do their own due diligence and plan out their own trades based on your own risk tolerance. I'm just sharing with you guys what I'm looking at and how I am personally making sense of the charts. So, with that said, we've been keeping track of Bitcoin during this downtrend. We're still in a downtrend, but there are plenty of signs at telling me at least that the bottom may actually be in. There's one element that I'm gonna keep an eye on, and I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you guys what that means. But we finally saw Bitcoin come all the way down to the overlapping support area, both an extension and a retracement, factoring in the move up from down here. Last time we had a short-term deep value buying opportunity, and we went up into the sell area, which is the green extension. And then I said after coming up into this area, I said, it's very likely that the price can soon break below this area, the 100 extension at $114,500. And then we can potentially retest it. And when we do retest it, we can then go up much higher. So as you guys can see, that area is down here. We broke below the green price level, and now we entered back into it, and we are retesting it once again. The idea here is that this area is a higher low buying opportunity on the bigger picture to allow not just to gain some exposure, but to allow um, you know, good discounted buying opportunities to happen with the expectation that as Bitcoin trends higher and greed comes back into the market, or at least in Bitcoin, we can finally see the price not just retest the green like it is right now, but to push it higher and hit the 1.236 extension at 128K. Many times in the past, if you guys been watching for a while, we've had extension levels, like next leg up extension levels. This was one of them, but I can't show you guys. It's not letting me. But it was a very similar setup where we had enough momentum to test it. We broke below it, and then we tested it once again, and it breaks up to it much higher. The point is that a lot of bullish volume builds up, at least in my opinion, within these extension areas. It just depends on how or what previous structures you're using to draw them out. But we're gonna break down the Bitcoin chart, and then we're gonna jump into Mara. So with that being said, regardless, we had a really good buying opportunity to accumulate within the red area, anywhere between or below 114.5K. And then I kept saying that, well, this yellow or this blue area is a retracement from this move down. It's very likely that the price can go up into this area. So then I gave you guys a second level of confidence for it, in my opinion. So I used this move up where it broke micro supports or resistances, allowing the price to come down, hold a higher low, and then I said that, well, I used that um, structure to give this extension area, and it's overlapping with it very well. I said, it's very likely that we can see Bitcoin potentially hit 118K, and we finally just boomed up into this area. So I'm gonna give you guys a few ways I'm looking at this, and then I'm gonna explain how that influences with Mara stock. But then after I give these multiple views, I'm gonna summarize it like I always do with simply just what I'm doing. There's no reason to like overthink so many different trade structures that can potentially form. Um, there's no reason to do that when you can summarize in a pretty good way and just keep things simple and realistic though. So with that being said, we pushed up higher. So what I'm gonna do is that we have the support, drawn out an ascending support. We're pretty far from it, and now we are pretty far from the 120 moving average. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the RSI in this case, because this could be the start of a new, or not new, but a revised, renewed bullish pump that can potentially lead us to new all-time highs. So the RSI is too soon. The RSI is not really, I don't think it's reflecting this too well, so we're not going to pay attention to it. So to keep it simple, we have a nice simple ascending resistance as well. With that being said, what I'm going to do right now is give you guys, and it's going to make sense in a moment. So there is this support area. So it's very similar to this. This is factoring in the whole move. This one was factoring in the whole move from here. This one is the whole move from the swing low, the first swing low within this pump, all the way up to the current high within the structure. So the idea here is that the ascending support overlaps with this area right here. And just like I've been saying in previous videos, these resistance areas, we tend to see volume decrease and begin the process of reversing, setting up to have a correction within the structure before it can continue on to the direction it's going. So the idea here, and I mean, we've seen this happen. There's an alternative, because as of right now, I'm not going to say that we will not hit this 0.5 retracement at 110K basically, because we don't fully have bullish confirmation, because this can look something very similar to this, where we go into the retracement from going down, go into retracement, and then we have a one more low. It's becoming less likely that that can happen. Instead, higher prices are becoming more likely. But you guys gotta remember too that this overall retracement is just a short-term premium level for a downtrend. So we're still in a downtrend. The only way that we can break out of this downtrend is if we come down, hold a higher low. In this case, there's two levels of support. There's a tighter ascending, but I'm going to focus on the broader picture one down here, because it's just more reasonable and it overlaps a bit more reasonably and realistic with the support area. So things are quite simple. We can either cancel out the possibility of revisiting the red, especially one more low from here hitting the 0.5 retracement. If the price continues to trend higher and it breaks 119K, the moment the price breaks 119K, the amount of investor sentiment within the structure is just going to basically wipe out the possibility of us having that one more low. So that's the first one, is 119K being broken. On top of that, the second possibility for higher prices will be simple. We come down into support. This is a very reasonable support, and we go up higher. The reason it's reasonable, there's very nice imbalanced value gaps here on like the 2 and 4 hour time frame. So it's important to keep an eye on that. This wick was too weak. It's not enough to actually fill it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come down and test this area. So far, again, there's a descending resistance line that we are actually holding above slightly. So we still have more room to max out this area. It's absolutely possible, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the price goes higher from here. What matters is that if it breaks 119K, there will be enough bullish momentum within the structure, enough bullish volume to just, put this red area in the past for good, at least for the rest of this bull cycle. But the other thing would be that we can either come down, break past this very easily, and finally retest this area as a final opportunity to accumulate some more exposure at deep short-term discounted levels. The other possibility, and this one's also very realistic, because there is a lot of healthy momentum within the structure. Like we're holding an uptrend, and then as we're holding this higher high and higher low setup, we break past the previous swing high very aggressively. The next small correction was actually I'm gonna show you guys something. So within this move alone, we have another overlapping area, showing that the price can still go a bit higher and max out Let me see if I can remove that. There's too much on there. So it can max out this area and actually go to 118 very easily. 118 and potentially hold below 119. That's why it's so important to keep an eye on that 119K level, in my opinion, for a really solid confidence sign that this area is done, and instead we're just gonna be focusing on a continuation of an uptrend, making a new high and potentially hitting that 128K level next, more directly than the price fluctuating and kind of procrastinating a bit. But obviously we're in resistance, so at this point, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the price comes down, holds support, and goes higher. Regardless, both of these, like, short-term bullish and short-term bear scenarios, lead to higher prices. It's just that one is just more short-term, just we just break out of this now, or we delay it for a little bit to allow one more final chance to accumulate within the red. But regardless, if you guys been watching for a while, you know that I've been accumulating the BitU position early, because a lot of these massive, like the majority of these massive fluctuations happen during closed market hours, closed US market hours at least. So I would rather be early, understanding that we are still in a bull market, and especially we came into a really, really important support area and we're holding it very well. So it's as simple as that. It really is. If I had to choose, it makes sense that we will just continue to trend higher from here. We can still come down and test this support, but if we do, I do believe this support will actually hold. It makes a lot of sense right now. It's just waiting for the test and the breakout, or waiting for just the direct breakout. Regardless, for if there's any negative random news in the headlines right now in the US economy, whatever comes out in the news, and we just happen to see the price tank into the red, I'm expecting a V-shaped recovery from there. Like, this is not sustainable for long periods of time. So if there is an opportunity to accumulate in this area again, I'm not going to shy away from it whatsoever. But again, it's very likely though that we are going higher. There's no reason to be, like, in my opinion, super cautious. But if you're looking at real short-term prices, we can still come down and just hold a higher low from here and push up higher. We came up into resistance, so if you're overly greedy, in my opinion, right now, you might be disappointed if the price comes down, even if it's looking to hold a higher low at this price. But yeah, higher prices are very much looking a lot more realistic right now in the short term as well. That 128K area is my next leg up, and then we have a few more areas after that. But we gotta take it one step at a time with this, right? So with Mara stock, nothing has changed. If you guys saw yesterday's video, everything is absolutely the same. Um, we're in accumulation, with the idea of the primary sell point being between like 20 and 23, so somewhere between like 2150 and 2250. So this is the next take profit area. When it comes to Mara stock though, um I want to keep it super simple, because we all know that Mara does not 100% correlate Bitcoin. There's a lot of reasons behind it. Mara has expenses, ongoing costs, growth costs. There's a lot of factors that Bitcoin doesn't have. So that's why we see in the bigger picture, if you guys go on like the monthly or even yearly chart, every bull market cycle top, at least as of right now, is always lower than the previous. This has to do with the such importance of aggressive growth, for this company, that every 4 years the inflation rate of Bitcoin gets cut in half. So then, you really need to put a lot of money into growing your hash rate, growing your operations to stay afloat during future halvings, right? So there's like this depreciation when it comes to the market value, and they're issuing more shares to basically have like zero, interest rate money coming in at that point, extra money, and they are growing their Bitcoin holdings as well. So there's a lot of reasons, and we're still in the bull cycle, and there's a lot of reasons, like it all makes sense to me that we can be looking at higher prices throughout the rest of this year in 2025. But again, I explained this in yesterday's video, so there's no reason to go overly like too deep into it again. But we've been tracking Bitcoin for a while. We started off with a simple extension area using previous fluctuations. We found support in it. I kept saying like a good sell opportunity will be this value gap right here in the green rectangle. I showed you guys all this while it was happening. We had a second chance to just, pick up some more at the nice retracement that held very nicely, and we went up into the sell point. Then I gave you guys another area to accumulate in, a very nice. It didn't really last that long, so it was nice to see the price actually break out sooner rather than later. But we had another opportunity to buy, and we had another sell opportunity right here. The selling area held very well. The price came down, and now it as simple as this. And within all these buying areas, the broad market characteristics are pretty much were very very similar. We're also seeing Bitcoin right now is it's coming out of and trying to confirm a low, is trying to establish that low. Real soon, I believe we will have pretty much pure confirmation rather the low is in or not. It probably is, but um, it's something that just needs like a little bit more time just to establish, for it to prove to everyone like 100%. And then when it comes to Mara, it's same thing, right? Like we're in a low, we're in an overall retracement low, really good buying opportunity. We're holding the ascending support line. We broke the point 0.5 retracement at $15.68, so things are looking really good, right? And so now what we're looking for is, regardless if the price continues to fluctuate around this 0.5, even if it dips a little lower and goes into the 14s briefly, like this is, in my opinion, a good buying opportunity. And again, just like in Bitcoin, we can either break up with Mara directly to the upside, but this will have to be with macro, like positive headlines coming out to really influence a lot of that volume. But it can potentially happen, right? So we can either see a breakout into the take profit area, which is this next blue area. Just like this one, I'm expecting prices to weaken in this area. So we have a straight up shot for that, or we can easily see the price come up into here, retest the red one more time. So it'll come up into the retracement resistance from this whole move down, consolidate in it a little bit, or even just consolidate, push down a little bit, break into the red briefly once again before we go up into the sell point. That can happen, absolutely. And I mean, if we go up in this area, if we come down and retest the red, I mean, the longer we hold into the red, the better that would be actually, because a lot of that value within this area would start building up bullish momentum, and it would just pop a bit more aggressively, in my opinion. So, yeah, so again, explained this a lot in previous videos and yesterday as well. But again, we're in a really reasonable, attractive price range right now in this price area, to accumulate. And the idea is for, I mean, if you want to be conservative, you can just sell the moment we break into this yellow. But the idea is that we will, come up, make a new high from here. We can fluctuate, can take a minute, but we can do all kinds of fluctuations. It doesn't matter. It's all noise. The idea is that we are in an accumulation area. The overall primary take profit is in this area. And, if you want to be conservative with it, again, you can sell within the retracements, and potentially you'll have a chance to add more, or at least reopen or reinvest if you were shaving instead of completely closing the positions as a last opportunity to buy with a second test. But regardless, accumulation, selling, that's the idea of this uptrend we're in. And then with Bitcoin, we're just gonna keep an eye on it, and then we'll see how Mara gets influenced as well. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.